and welcome to QShala. Here, you will get to learn new things while answering fun questions. Herodotus was an individual born in Halicarnassus in Persia. He authored a book on Greco-Persian wars through a process of inquiry. He is said to be the father of the field of study that is said to have originated from a Greek word for inquiry. The field of study is history. Inquiry is what makes a quizzer pro-quizzer. Let's now get into the past with a Kahoot challenger. Pick up an extra phone or a tablet or even open your laptop. Go to your browser and type in www.kahoot.it. Enter the game pin and you are ready to face your challenge. You can find the challenge link in the description below. Once you type in the game pin, click on enter and then you will be ready. Enter a nickname and click on go. Here's a QShala quiz on how to be a pro quizzer, a look into the past. First question, which dreamer is Anthony Mackie portraying here? And your options are Martin Luther King Jr., Barack Obama, Nelson Mandela, or Medgar Evers. Who do you think is the right answer? Here's our second question. Mispronunciation of which historic ruler's name is commonly used to describe bravery in Hindi? The image is a major clue. Your options are Julius Caesar, Alexander the Great, Chandragupta Maurya, or Napoleon Bonaparte. Time's up. Let's go to our third question on your screen right now. This American director named his production house after a famous discovery made by his namesake, Name the Discoverer. So your options are Marco Polo, Vasco da Gama, Amerigo Vespucci, Christopher Columbus. 1492 Pictures is the name of the production house. And that brings us to our fourth question. Which inventor and scientist is Benedict Cumberbatch portraying in this film titled The Current War? A very famous war though. And your options are Alexander Graham Bell, Thomas Alva Edison, Nikola Tesla, or Albert Einstein. It's an inventor, scientist. Fifth question now. Which historical figure did this actress play in a 2019 film popularly known by a three-word title featuring a city in UP? And your options are Kittu Rani Channamma, Jhansi Rani Lakshmibai, Razia Sultan, or Rani Abbaka. Which historical figure is this? Punch was a British satirical magazine that used cartoons and illustrations to highlight the ongoings in the empire. So let's look at one such illustration and the question will follow. What event from the mid-19th century is the subject of this illustration by artist John Tenniel? Observe the image carefully, and this is in mid-19th century. Your options are Quit India Movement, Jallianwala Bagh Massacre, Sepoy Mutiny, or India becoming independent. What do you think the image represents? Moving on to our eighth question. Who is Rajkumar Rao portraying in the Alt Balaji series titled DOA, Dead or Alive? Is it Subhash Chandra Bose, Is it Bhimrao Ambedkar? Is it Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi or Jawaharlal Nehru? Observe the image carefully. And your time is up. Here's a little bit of backstory behind the question that we're going to ask. Man named Gavrilo Princip was a part of an organization named the Black Hand that was dedicated to Slavic freedom. To that end, on June 28, 1914, he masterminded the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of the Austro Hungarian region. Let's see the question. What global event, the first of two, was instigated by this event? And your options are Battle of Plassey, Austrian War, Battle of Yorkshire, or World War I. What do you think the backstory instigated? Here's our last question. What is the subject of this six-work series by English historian Edward Gibbons? Is it degradation of buildings, study of termites, fall of Roman Empire, or rise of Roman Empire? Observe the image carefully.
Quizzing is essentially a journey of learning and having fun. Here is Ahil Thachil from Team QShala telling us his story.
My quizzing journey actually, I would say, started off quite long ago, almost from I guess my first or second grade, where we used to have these actual quizzes per se. That I mean, it was not like a competition per se, but that we used to have now. But it was more on the lines of they used to give us like these actual. Paper, and then we should go and attempt the quiz on the paper, and then there should be like a leaderboard that's created post the thing. So that was the sort of quizzing experience we started off. And more on the lines of like a competitive quizzing came about from, let's say, around maybe the seventh grade, when I was almost, let's say, thrust into to represent my house. And it was a very interesting incident during the particular quiz. So it was like, I think till the first I think till the first four rounds, we were nowhere near the first nowhere near the leaderboard of sorts. And it was mainly in the fifth round that we kind of made up the whole gap. So I think there was another team that was leading, and actually another, we were the fourth house, and then the other three teams were leading, and then we were literally at the bottom of the board. And then somehow by I don't know, luck, or maybe it's those things that maybe we have learned or studied or come across, that were asked in the fifth. That's the rapid fire round that came about. We were able to kind of make up for those shortcomings, and we actually ended up winning second position in the quiz, and that was a big deal, because it was like a stellar thing that I think throughout the particular house that I was a part of, never did fare well in quiz. And this is the first time when that happened, and the whole your housemates in the school, if I could say, were kind of kind of really stoked about it, and that was like the talk of the town, you could say. Challenges, well, I wouldn't say a challenge. It was more sort of like a journey for me, right? So it was like the journey of finding a teammate, more so to speak, because it's always very difficult, especially with quizzing being just more or less, it's two people in a team. It's I wouldn't say difficult, but it takes a lot of trial and error to actually gel in well with your teammate. And if both of you are in that same wavelength, and I mean, then the whole journey of quizzing is a very wholesome experience, right? So yeah, that's the thing. There's no challenge per se, but it is more on the lines of the whole journey of finding an ideal teammate. And I mean, I would say right from my school days, started had quizzed with a lot of different people. And then I ended up finding one person in particular who was a very good quizzer. And I think that we gelled along very well. And then I think this was sometime in my 11th and 12th grade. And then we attempted a number of quizzes, and went ahead as well. And maybe I wouldn't say a challenge per se, but this was more like of course, because internet wasn't that predominant when I was growing up. It was there, but it was not as popular as it is today. The whole accessibility to a different bunch of quizzes was not around. So we had to like maybe wait for notifications to come through. It reaches your school, then to your quiz coordinator, and then to the whole quiz club. So sometimes we might even lose out on the dates, or it's probably like a last minute thing. Like we get a notification saying, hey, there's a quiz tomorrow, or there's a quiz today, and we want you to go for it. So there were some instances like those as well. So yeah. As a quizzer, there were like a lot of different instances and things coming up. But one, in particular, if I could take was, this was back in 11th, 12th grade when, it was like the peak of my quizzing career, and we had to actually, there were like a bunch of really good quizzers there, in the pre-university where I studied. So, and these guys were superb quizzers, and it used to happen like that. It used to happen in such a way that um, we used to always go for all these inter whatever junior college, that's what it's called, junior college sort of quizzes, and also quizzes outside. And most of the time, to whatever quizzes we all used to go, it used to be like sometimes they used to come first, then or we used to come second, or vice versa. It was like that. So mostly the first top three spots essentially were reserved for just like just these three teams essentially. The one was my team, and then there were the other two folks, actually other four folks totally, in those two different teams. So this was one crazy memory. Like most of the times, it was just an interchange between just these three teams. So sometimes we used to come first, or we used to be second or third. And these guys also used to rotate the positions. And mind you, this was not like, it was not like only just the three teams, only just the three of us were participating. There were like a lot of people participating as well. So I mean, there were like upwards of easily 30 to 40 teams at one particular quiz. So yeah, that was something very interesting, and I cherish as a quizzer. And maybe as a quiz master, it's quite different, because I mean, I was mainly a participant, more like a connoisseur. I was enjoying the whole activity, but I never really thought about looking at the other side of things. And this is what actually here at QShala that has made me do. So I'm actually on the other side of the boat now, conducting quizzes and being a quiz master. And some lovely memories is like, I think one of my initial quizzes that I had conducted for a particular school. I was like quite nervous, that I was, sweating all over. And, I think even I made a mistake, while, while even pronouncing certain words as well, but I mean, I've come a long way from then. And yeah, so that was some quite interesting thing, I would say, in the whole quizmaster journey as well. Most of the times, we think this could be the answer, or, this was like a total guess. And a good number of times, the guesses have turned out to be yeses. Like, I mean, kind of for somehow, some reason, it turns out to be the right answer. And I think that's the idea, like most of the time in quizzes, the questions are set as a puzzle, and the joy you get in solving these puzzles, I mean, it's inexplicable. I can't maybe tell it out to you in any word, but you have to yourself go ahead, try it out, and experience and feel it, and only then you can get that wholesome experience yourself as well. Well, the first thing that I want to say is the skill of observation, right? So we'd see a lot of things around us, but how many of you would observe those things, right? So I think most of the QShala loyalists here, the lot of people who have attended the family quizzes here, would be able to recollect one thing, about I think the currency question that we might have asked. So the idea is on whichever denomination of currency, what is that monument that you would find on the currency note, right? So I mean, we'll be using. I understand, most of us will be using digital payments now, but still the whole cash transaction, is still prevalent, right? So on the currency note, we might be using it on a daily basis. But how many of you have observed what is on the back of those currency notes, right? So that is my tip number one to you: observation. And the next one that I would like to tell is to attend quizzes, right? So if I could give you a little bit, throw some light into my journey itself, initially when I attended quizzes, I mean, most of the questions that they asked, I didn't even know what was going on, to be honest, right? Like most of the questions actually just flew over my head. I mean, I never knew what the questions were. I didn't even know what the answers were, and I couldn't even relate to those. But I understand that was mainly because I was in a very young grade then. And as time passed on, I mean, I started to learn a lot more, read, observe a lot more as well. And most of these questions came in, into me, and then I was able to fit in, right? And the other interesting thing is, as you go to a lot of these different quizzes and tournaments and events, you will also probably start to notice a pattern as well. Like one quiz master would set questions in one sort of way while the other would set in one particular way. So you get to know those nuances like that, and then you can build up on those, and that would help you too, right? And another most interesting thing is when you attend a lot of quizzes over a period, what happens is, sometimes the same questions, like the same fundas, could also be asked in another quiz also. That happens, and that has happened to me, right? So that is a very good, that was an advantage, is also what I would say. So maybe try that out. Third tip, what I would like to say is just have fun, right? So just go to quizzes, just be in the moment there, just have the conversation with your teammate, try solving those puzzles. The quiz that's kept, that is presented to you as in the form of a puzzle, right? And then have fun, and and enjoy the whole experience, right? That's my final and the most important tip, I would say. Just enjoy the whole experience, right? Just be there, enjoy it.
That was chapter 4 of How to Be a Pro Quizzer, where we peeped into the past. If you like this chapter, like and share the video. Subscribe to QShala for more such engaging content. Next week, we will be exploring the world of business and brands.